everyone. Hi, hello. Welcome to another exciting episode of Allison Rosen is Your New Best Friend. I'm sitting here in the pod cabin with Jimmy Kimmel, a writer. He's written for the Oscars. He's won multiple Emmys, and now he has a hilarious new book out called Wow, You Look Terrible, How to Parent Less and Live More. Please put your hands together for Danny Ricker.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I've been nominated for Emmys. I haven't won them, but I'm going to
really?
but I'm not even going to correct you because let's get that out there as a rumor. That's great.
Yeah. In my mind, I changed it to, in my mind, you had won like 13 Emmys. And as soon as I read that, which I imagined, I guess, but I read it. As soon as the fact went into my head, I was like, oh, you have one of those houses. And you know exactly the house I mean, right? The kind where you walk in and you're like, oh, look at your Emmys. Look at all of your...
If I do ever win one, I think I'll be so racked with like shame. Weirdly, I'll put them in a box and put them in the attic, and then I'll take them down if I ever need like a confidence boost. But
right, yeah. So we need to talk about a lot of stuff, namely your book, because I was reading it and related so intensely. We should get this out of the way. We have sons in the same grade at the same school, the name of which we won't say. Then no one will ever find out. You have two kids. I have two kids. I was relating a lot to it. And it's really funny. It's a comedy book, but there's, I kind of what I want to know is like how much truth is in it about how you feel about parenting. So we'll get to that. But first, let's talk about, in addition to us having children at the same school, we have friends in common. Mm-hmm. So you work at Kimmel, so you know all the Kimmel people, but you went to high school with friend of the show and frequent guest Jordan Morris.
The best, yes. I've known Jordan since I was 15, really the first day of high school. I was 15 years old, and he was the cool, like older senior who ran our improv team. And he was just like I don't know if you had someone like this in your school, but he was, I wanted to be him, but also he was like really nice to me.
But also you wanted to have sex with him?
Yeah, sure. I mean, you know, he's a friendly guy. I'm sure he would have obliged, but yeah, no, he just like, he was somebody who I was like, I want to be that guy.
Oh, wow.
And sometimes you want to be someone who's then like terrible to you, but he was actually like really, really nice and took me under his wing. He actually introduced me to my wife, who we also went to high school with. And so it was, we've known each other forever. And so it's super fun that we're both living in LA and doing comedy. And he's so great. I'm always really happy. We have similar music tastes, so I run into him at concerts a lot, and I love him.
Wait, are you into like Christian pop punk?
We're both into ska music, so I some punk music, yes, but like we're most ska shows I go to, Jordan is there, and we run into each other. I'm always very excited.
So you still go to ska shows?
Yes,
I do. I as someone also from Orange County, I was legally obligated to be into ska.
Yeah.
Like who are you still into?
Pretty much all the current bands that are still doing it, I am very into. I was listening to your episode where you were discussing Gwen and Bradley Knoll at the Weenie Roast.
Yum Yum.
And I was going nuts in my car because you're like, what song do they play? I'm like, it's Saw Red. It's at the 95 Weenie Roast. I watch this YouTube video about 3 times a year just because I love it. So
I really like the song.
I do too. No Doubt was my first band I was super into.
Oh, wow.
Actually, I have a No Doubt sticker on my
water
bottle.
That.
Yeah. Which I found this in an old box recently. I was going through that's like from high school. I was like, I'm a 40-year-old man, but I can put a sticker on my water bottle.
It's cool and retro now.
Exactly. And I love No Doubt. I had a big crush on Gwen Stefani. Even I was young enough to not even, it wasn't even like sexual in nature. Like I just like loved her, and she was so cool. And she grew up like a mile from where I lived, and I was like, that's so awesome. Yes. And so No Doubt was my first concert.
Where?
At the what is now I think the Honda Center, but it was the Arrowhead Pond of Anaheim.
Okay.
No Doubt and Weezer. I think I was 12. My mom took me as a Christmas present. So that was like, my dad loved reggae music when we were growing up too, so I was kind of primed for that.
Did he ever take you to Sunsplash, Reggae Sunsplash at UC Irvine?
We did that. There was something at the Long Beach Convention Center we would go to every few years that was just like a wall of weed smoke, and I was like so young, but it was like he still loves that stuff. We've gone to a bunch of that, so I think I was kind of primed to love when we were living in Orange County and every band is playing ska and they're on K-Rock, and that was right when I was getting into music. So it just like, it was like a
Imprinted
flash
on
of
you.
radiation that happened. And I love it still to this day. And I catch shit for it, but I don't care because I really do love it and it's fun.
Okay, well now I have to throw bands at you.
Mm-hmm.
Real Big Fish?
Yes, I have an Aquabat sticker on the car I drove here in today. So, Real Big Fish I've seen 30 times in concert.
Wow.
Yeah.
Save Ferris?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Are these ones you like?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And
so Third Wave.
Yes.
Scott.
And then also the everything back before that too.
Mm-hmm.
I have a Specials tattoo
of course
on my
you do.
arm. Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
So I know. So this is a I'm glad I'm married because I feel like this would have perhaps prolonged my virginity into my 50s, but I love it. It's just it's something that never faded for me, and I love it to this day.
Are there up and coming new ska bands, or does it always feel like you're watching someone reprise?
There are new ones. There's one called Catbite. That's a new one I really like. They're just
that is such a ska name.
I know. I love it, and they're so good. And so there
are
the
Knuckle Brothers.
Yeah, that's old school. That's way old school.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm pulling names from my past.
Yeah. There are bands that have been doing it for like, I think like Less Than Jake, who I still love, has been like, they're having like a 35th anniversary this year. There are bands that have been doing it that long, and there's new ones too, which is exciting because I go, okay, I'm not alone. There are some people out there who grew up with those bands and are now doing their own version of it.
I could literally talk about ska for the rest of the show, but
Same.
I'm going to move on, but maybe we'll revisit if we need to. Okay, so Jordan Morris, the cool guy, took you under his wing. How did you let him know that he should take you under his wing?
I think I think the person I would least want to spend the day with is like myself at 15, probably. I can just imagine, I can feel the cringe, but I think because Jordan is a great guy, I think he goes, oh, there's this kid and he's excited to do this. And, he's just a super nice guy. Yeah. So I think he and the other kind of seniors on that improv team really like encouraged me. And this company we were doing the improv with is called Comedy Sports, has this huge high school program that's fantastic, and I've worked for them as an adult too, and they're great. So they would have a professional coach come down and teach you how to do improv and all this stuff. So I'm very grateful I happened to show up to that improv tryout that day with Jordan, because I think that set me on a path I think I never would have gotten on otherwise.
Right. Did your wife do improv also?
She and I met doing a high school play. She never did improv, but we played husband and wife in Neil Simon's Rumors. And I think I was like a sophomore in high school.
Is she your age too?
Yep. Yeah. She's a couple grades ahead of me. So she's
an older woman.
Yes. We dated. Yeah. Long distance. She was in college for a couple of years while I was finishing high school. So it's like so cute. It's kind of gross, but we're happily married all these years. We're coming up on our 15-year wedding anniversary. We've been together 24 years. Yeah. Long time.
It is adorable. Although I made that joke about an older woman. However, in high school, a senior dating a sophomore, actually, what did her friends think?
We didn't really even start like officially dating until she was even in college. So
okay.
Yeah, so luckily I think we kind of avoided that weirdness. But I'm sure when she was in college, she went to school in South Carolina. I'm sure they were like, you're dating someone in high school still. But
did you go to your school dances? And did she go with you?
No, she never. I don't think. We went to, I think, her senior prom. I think I went with her to that. And then the other proms, either went with a friend or I skipped my senior prom. I actually went. Did you ever go to Chain Reaction in Anaheim?
Did I ever? I went there when it was Public Storage as well.
Oh,
I played there. I was in a band.
You did?
Yeah, not a ska band. I'm sorry.
we have so much in common. I love it. Yeah. So Chain Reaction, for those who don't know, is this like tiny little punk and ska club in Anaheim, California.
It originally was called Public Storage because I think it was a storage space.
Or I had heard that. I had heard it was a liquor store at some. It's the size of like a 7-Eleven basically. And I've seen so many great. I love that place. Actually, I went there in the last year.
You did? It's still there?
Still there. Wow. It's a little bit of a pay-to-play place now, I think. But I went there and saw a legit show. This band called the Calamatics was playing there. And so I went with my old buddy. And I was like, let's go to Chain Reaction tonight. There's a ska band playing. I want to go see them. So we went. It looks exactly the same. There's a little like alley in the side that you can go. You can. I don't smoke, but that's where all the people would go to smoke. It's covered in chewing gum. It's fucking it's so disgusting. As disgusting as it ever was. And then Chain Reaction was so small. if you were seeing a big band there, as I'm sure you remember, it was, the capacity for the place is probably like 40 people, like legally, and they'd pack like 250 people into this place. I mean, like
I'm remembering it as a little bigger than what you're saying, and I'm wondering. No, you're probably right. I'm bad at gauging numbers.
I just remember they would sell so many tickets and you'd be packed in. And I think this was before that, like that famous like
the
incident.
Great White Fire.
Yes, it was before that, because now I think they're much stricter about it. But I would see, like, I saw the Mighty Mighty Bosstones play there, and they just and they just kept selling tickets until people wouldn't fit in the venue anymore. And so it would get so hot in there from just body heat that the ceiling would start dripping like condensation.
It's so gross.
So gross. And my other favorite part was back then the dressing room was in the back of the venue. So for the band to get on the stage,
they had to walk through.
They have to tap you on the shoulder and be like, "Hey, sorry," and they'd be like carrying trombones and all that up to the stage. So now they have bought. There was a thrift store next door, and they bought it, and they cut a hole in the wall. So the band gets ready in a thrift store and then enters the stage, at least from there. But I love that place. So the night of my senior prom, I skipped senior prom because my girlfriend was living in South Carolina, and I went. There's a band, Rocket from the Crypt, that's a San Diego punk band who I love. So they were playing a Chain Reaction on that. I was like, I'm going to go do that instead of missing my girlfriend.
Yeah. So when you mentioned Chain Reaction, I was remembering there's a band that I saw there, they were like opening for another band, and they were kind of ska, or they had ska elements, which must mean they had a horn, unless they had a keyboard. Now I can't remember, but I'm wondering if you've heard of them. Except I am forgetting their name, so I got to look up the singer.
Okay,
his name is Nate Bott, and it doesn't say. There's no indication of a band. For some reason, I'm associating it with Six Flags. So I want to say it had anything to do. See, his bio was just living my weirdest life. That's not helping me, Nate.
That could be the lead singer of a ska band.
But I feel like they were like, okay, Nate Bott, musician. I feel like they're from the Midwest or something. If you're following current ska, then, okay, here we go. No. God damn it. Someone knows, and they're Nate Bott, musician, Abbey Road, a tribute to the Beatles. No.
Also, by the way, you're looking this up on a checkerboard iPhone case,
I am.
Which is kind of perfect.
Yes. Okay. So he went to University of Minnesota. Let's see. This is his LinkedIn profile. I've been a musician all my life. I've written hundreds of blah, 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 blah. After spending 6 years in a touring tribute band. Okay, but before that, what? He's a guitar teacher. He was a personal assistant. Okay, he was on. This is so frustrating. Professional musician, Atlantic Records. Lead rock band to major label record deal. Great. What was the name of your band? Oh my God. Well, it's not.
How long ago? Was this a long time or recent?
Yeah, no, this was a long time ago. Let's go to his Facebook. This was a long time ago. This was probably in the 90s or the 2000s.
Oh, okay.
So, okay. This has to be continued. But I really liked them. I wonder what the hell they're. It was like something like Six Flags, but it's not bad at all. Or six. It had a 6 in it.
I'll keep thinking. Maybe a band will come to me. And we'll figure it out.
Yeah. How frustrating. He had a little bit of a like goth look to him.
Okay,
if that rings a bell.
There are
anyone.
some fun like kind of subgenres that have that kind of popped up in the like the Aquabats are great because the Aquabats are basically ska devo,
right?
And they're funny and all that. Then there was a band called the RX Bandits that became sort of like a prog rock band, but they were still kind of doing it. And so you get a lot of flavors in it.
Yes. All right. Let's move away from ska, even though it's hard. And let's go back to, okay. So high school, you're doing improv. And then you went to UCLA.
I did, yeah.
And what did you study there?
I studied psychology, which I haven't used a day in my life, but I enjoyed it greatly.
Well, I'm sure you use it every day.
Yeah, sure.
In some way that you don't know.
Justify all my student loans. I tell myself that.
Did you think that you wanted to go that direction, or did you know you wanted to do comedy?
My plan was to be a high school psychology teacher because that was just my favorite class I took in high school, and I wanted to be a teacher, and that just seemed great. And I had a great AP psychology teacher.
You guys had AP psychology at what high school was it? Mission Viejo?
Capistrano Valley High School.
Was that public?
Public.
And you had AP Psych? We did not have that offered.
Yeah. And my teacher of that class was one of my all-time favorite teachers, Sage Sprankle, who's still doing it to this day. And
excuse me, Sage Sprankle?
Sage Sprankle.
That's an amazing name.
Yeah, she's awesome. She emailed me in the last 6 months, actually, and we reconnected. I love her. She was just one of those teachers you always remember and is so great. And so I was like, I'm going to do what Miss Sprankle did. I'll teach it at my high school. Even that I was excited to do that. And then I got to UCLA, and there was this sketch comedy TV show that existed at UCLA. It's something that would never exist today because YouTube exists, but it was called The Mike and Ben Show, and it ran closed circuit at the college on Channel 29.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was completely uncensored and run by students. And me and my college roommate, who I had also been to high school with, we were just flipping channels and we're like, what is this show? This looks awesome. And
was it funny?
It was funny. And it's made by kids who are in that stage of their comedy career where they're still kind of figuring out what is good and what is not good. But the college would just give cameras out to these kids, and they were shooting a show every week. And so it's all pre-taped comedy sketches, sort of like what would be a digital short on SNL, but that was the whole show. 30 minutes every week, and we just walk by a flyer, and that was hey, we're auditioning writers and performers. And so we auditioned, we got on the show.
You and your roommate.
Me and my roommate, who's now a movie producer, doing great for himself too. And we got on the show, and that was so important. I think similar to meeting Jordan on that fateful day where I go, oh, I'm on the show. I'm with all these other really kind of creative people, and we just got to make a show. The university said nothing about it unless we got too raunchy, and it ran too early in the day, and student tours were seeing it and stuff like that, But it was really great. And then I was eventually the kind of the producer, in charge of that show, which I think too ended up being I didn't realize it at the time, but was great training for my work in television, later on too, where I was like, oh yeah, it was kind of the same thing. And I wouldn't have even really expected that, but I was like, oh, I'm sort of leading a group of writers, and I need to answer to the university, which is sort of answering to the network and, all that kind of stuff. And so it was really great. And I learned how to edit and write scripts and shoot and do things for cheap. And it was that was really, ironically, the more useful thing I learned in college than all the classes I took. And but I loved it. I look back on that very fondly. I'm still in contact with a bunch of those people, and those are those and my improv friends are my college friends still.
So then after college, what did you do? Did you intern at Kimmel, and then you've been there ever since?
Yep. I interned there, and I graduated early. I had done enough credits for my major, and I wanted to graduate because I'm I've been here.
You had that AP in your pocket.
Yeah, exactly. So I was able to finish a little early, but I hadn't picked up a minor yet. And so my last 6 months of college, I was going to, pick up my minor, but I had been interning at Kimmel, and I was I think they were sort of implying I could maybe get a job, or I could apply for a job there. So I'm I'm just going to stop. I'm going to finish college. I'm technically done. And then I started working at Kimmel in January of 2007. And so I actually had to take a day off of work to go walk in my college graduation. I mean, that's how quickly I started doing it. And I've been there ever since, doing a bunch of different jobs.
Wow.
Yeah.
So wait, I'm sorry. You might've just said you graduated when?
I graduated. So I interned there at the end of 2006. I graduated, or I finished college January 2007. And then I walked, in my graduation that May or whatever.
Oh, so you graduated, you missed a semester.
I basically, I just didn't do my last semester because all I was going to do was get a minor. And I was like, am I going to minor in Spanish or something?
Right, and you already had enough credits.
Right, yeah. Yeah, so I did that. And my first job there was being a TV watcher, which is a job we still have.
What is that?
We sit and we watch TV all day, and we look for funny clips that could go in our monologue. And we work with the writers. So hey, I'm doing this fake commercial. I need B-roll of this and that. And so I'd work with the writers a bunch, which was really great. And so I did that for 2 years. That was a great entry level job, and I think I got to work with so many different departments and learn so much, which was great. And then after that, doing that for a couple of years, I was a writer's assistant, which was also, I think, similar to my college sketch show experience. I was I learned so much because I was with professional writers all day, seeing what gets pitched and what gets on the show and how stuff gets made. So then after a few years of that, I kind of started they were cool with me, oh, you can pitch a couple things if you want here and there. And I think similar to every other stage I had up to that point. I had really cool people above me who were like, hey, we'll help. We see that you want to do this and we'll help you. And so two of the other head writers with me right now, Molly McNerney and Gary Greenberg, were the head writers at that time, and kind of saw that, here's this kid with a bad haircut who wants to be a comedy writer.
What was your haircut?
I've always had bad haircuts.
You're wearing a hat right now, so I can't assess.
Now it's okay. Now, I'm doing book press, so I'm like, I need like a good haircut. But usually my hair is a disaster. And but they were, gave me notes on stuff, and so that was also invaluable, getting to do that regularly. And so I got to the point where I was like, okay, I'm like pretty regularly like pitching stuff and getting it on the show. So then there was a writer position open at some point, and I got that. And then I've been one of the head writers at the show for the last like 11 years.
Wow.
I'm still there. I've had the same, my ID badge is me when I'm like a college intern. I'm 21, where my haircut is truly terrible there too.
It's really interesting. Some people feel like, I know like in medicine, what is it that my dad would say? They say, don't be a resident where you were an intern.
Yeah.
Don't work where you're a resident. No, I think don't be a resident where you're an intern. The idea being that if you come in at very entry level, people will still regard you that way, even when you've, been promoted a bunch. It sounds like you have not run into that at all.
Luckily, I mean, if I did, I didn't ever really feel it. And I don't think I did. I mean, we're very lucky over there. We have a really good group of people and really supportive people at that show. And so, everything I felt, I think, was like internal. Like, I think when my first day as one of the head writers, I was like, it was not that long ago, I was like ordering the lunch here. And so no one ever made me feel that way, but I was really uncomfortable for a long time, being like, how do I give a note to someone who I really respect and whatever? And in a way, I guess that's probably helped me, because I've never felt like the boss. I'm just like, I'm like equipment manager. I'm like making sure like everything's getting done on time and all of that. So I feel very fortunate I landed there. I'm sure there are plenty of places that would not have been super gung ho to like promote an intern and that kind of stuff. So and I think it all comes down, Jimmy's a great dude, and I think it trickles down from there,
So I'm now going to ask you a question that's going to be potentially hard for you to assess, because it's to talk about yourself as an employee.
Okay.
But I'm just thinking, you must have a great attitude and be easy to work with and be a hard worker, and also you're funny. Like, would you agree with all those? Or rather, the reason I say all that is I'm thinking, what would make someone ascend like that from intern to head writer in the same workplace, the way you have? And I'm thinking those are all the qualities. By the way, as I get older, the more I realize, I think I used to think when I started out, I worked in magazines and things, and I really had this naive, maybe entitled opinion that like raw talent, that's all that counts. Obviously, I know that you want to be a pleasant person and a hard worker and all that stuff, but I don't think I realized how much being a good employee has to do with so much more than just the skills you're bringing to the table. It's about so much more. It's about being political. It's about helping your boss. It's, all the things that are involved in it. But I'm assuming you must know all that.
That's always my goal. I'm sure, it's hard to assess because it's me, and I would be uncomfortable saying any of that stuff about myself. But I do think like my goal always is just to be a good like partner to whoever I'm working with. And so it's like, like to our writing staff, it's like I always feel like my goal is like just help them do what they want to do and help them be successful. And then in turn, I guess I will be successful from that. And, like if I'm having a meeting with any department at work, I'm like, I'm not going to like be a dick and ask for something that probably can't be done. Or if I am asking for something that's hard, I want to like be reasonable and, and not ask for something that's going to make them leave the meeting and go, this fucking guy, whatever. And I think because I came up as an intern, I worked in a lot of departments, I think I've gotten a decent sense of going like, what is like okay to ask? Like what's a reasonable ask and what's not going to be possible, and how do you just kind of like support people.
Are you talking about in terms of like what you can do in a segment, let's say?
Yeah. Or like, like sometimes I'll be like, I always try to start a meeting with another department and I go, I know what I'm about to ask you is probably not possible. So we're going to start there, but here's what we're thinking and let's work together to figure out like how we can get there. And I feel like people appreciate that. I feel like I appreciate when people do that with the writers too. If they're like, if they're coming to us with something, they don't just go like, this is to this or this is to that or whatever. They go like, okay, let's real talk. This might be tough, but what can we do? And so I try to extend that same courtesy to everybody else if we can. But I, honestly, like I just really enjoy the work and I really enjoy the people. And so that has made all of that easy, and I've always felt supported and I just try to give that back to everybody else.
Do you feel like you've become friends with Jimmy? For
sure. Yeah. I mean, he's always been a mentor to me since I started there. And, being a Southern California resident, like, I was a Kevin and Bean devotee, my whole childhood. And so I've known of Jimmy for so long. And so getting to like then go work at a show and was like a dream. And so he has been super supportive to me. I mean, he helped me get this. It was his idea for me to write this book and he helped me get it sold and wrote the foreword and all that. And so he's always been super supportive to me and just in my career and my personal life too.
Yeah. I read your acknowledgments because I always read those. Is James Baby Doll Dixon your agent?
He is. Yeah.
Okay. So this is a character and a real life human that many listeners of my show will know about.
Yeah.
Because, I was on the Adam Carolla show for years and he would always talk about Baby Doll.
Yes. So. Yeah. His, the other agent, there's two agents at Dixon Talent Management. Dan Bodansky is the other one who was, his assistant for many years and is now an agent. So I deal mostly with Dan, but Dixon is sort of like Don Corleone in this. And he comes in and he closes the deal and he smokes and he litters and he is like he's a character. If you saw him in a TV show, you'd be like, let's make him a little more realistic, but that's just who he is. On
The State, they did do a character that was him.
Oh, I don't think
they did a send up of him. Yes, you got to go find it.
Oh, very good.
So tell me about the book. Tell me how it came about.
Yeah, so I part of our daily pitching at work was, we write topical material at the show, and Jimmy goes, hey, I want every day I want every writer just to submit one non-topical kind of observational thing, and we didn't even really know what we were gonna do with that, but he's so we'd write them and we collect them in this big document, and every once in a while we'd have a bit where he goes, let's pull from that and we can use some of that in a bit, eventually, like, not every writer did it, and it kind of like people kind of it would fall off or whatever. But
it almost sounds like morning pages.
It is kind of like that, and I enjoyed it because it was like kind of the one break from the news I got to do. And then also because I'm just a very nervous rule follower, like always. I was like, well, our boss said we have to do this every day, so I'm going to do it every day. And so once I had kids, really the only thing in my life that was not my job was my kids. And so I'd be sitting in my house and there's chaos. And so I'd write just a little observation about my kids. And Jimmy always really liked, he text me and be like, oh, this is really funny. I like these. And, we're a late night comedy show and Jimmy's probably not going to do material about my children on our show. And so after years of that, he emailed me one morning. It was during the pandemic. And he goes, you should maybe like turn this into a book of some kind. I was like, oh, that's an interesting idea. And so I printed all of these observations, and I had like, probably hundreds of them at that point. I just sort of went like, okay, like what, is there a theme to these? And I think the theme is that I'm a practical person and parenting is a very impractical process. And so, okay, so what do I do with that? And so what I landed on was essentially it's a book of essays about, comedy essays about parenting, but it's also a self-help book, how it's formatted. And the overall idea of the book is that the more you become a parent, the less you become a human being, and you lose your identity to it. And so they are, they're tips, all tongue in cheek for the most part, about how to parent a little less and get your life back.
Yeah. Right. So some of the stuff in there, the 17-minute birthday party is obviously facetious.
Yes.
But then some of the stuff, like just, separating things from stuff, and I'll allow you to explain the difference, and then throwing out the stuff. Because when I greeted you at the door, I said, your book is already changing my life. I find piles of what you refer to as stuff all the fucking time.
Yeah.
And I can't bring myself to just toss them because this little piece goes with this toy that they don't play with, but still we should keep it. I mean, but I'm like, I feel liberated. I'm just going to throw it out because they never ask for it. So explain, please.
Yeah. So I feel I make the delineation that things are like items you need to raise your kids. There's like the high chair, that's a thing, and the car seat is a thing. But then there's stuff, which is this sort of amorphous other category, and they're toys, but they're often like pieces of toys or a puzzle,
Barbie shoe, a chair the size of an Advil.
Yes, yeah, or like a water bottle that they've crushed up and they've decided is a submarine and is their most cherished item or whatever. And so I would walk around my house and at the end of the day, my wife and I are always trying to make it look like we don't have kids in our house. So we're picking up and we're doing all these things.
Goal.
It takes hours and we never get there. But I would be picking up these little items and I'd be like, what the fuck are these? And where do I put them? And they either go into like a toy bin and then I see them the next day. And then it just occurred to me, I go, I could literally just throw this away and my kids will never know it's gone. And my life has been so much better since I started doing that. And while most things in the book are facetious, this is a real thing I do. And I am encouraging parents to do this because I think you can clean up your house. And I'm a purger in general. Like I don't hold on to a lot of stuff. But eventually this is going in the trash anyway. Eventually they're going to be 15 years old and they're not going to need this like little Bratz doll purse or whatever it is. And so speed up the process, get it done, enjoy a cleaner house. And it really saves you so much time because you start to go, this piece of a puzzle, I've seen that. Do we still own this? Are all the other pieces that, and you could spend 20 minutes trying to find a place for it. And then this is one of the other real things in the book I think is actually helpful is I created something in our house called the purgatory cabinet where if you want to throw something away, but you're worried your kid might be attached to it and ask you for it later, you hide it in a cabinet for 7 days. And if they don't ask for it after a week, pretty safe just to get rid of it. But if they go, oh my God, where's my Bratz doll purse? You go, I set it aside for you. I didn't want it to get lost. And then you seem like so thoughtful and like a great parent,
In general, though, do they ever ask for the Bratz doll purse? Because, like, Elliot went through this, or he's actually really still in it, but he loves Halloween. He loves spooky things. We've cycled through Addams Family and Scooby-Doo and all these things. So I'm remembering we have so many different, like, they're not dollhouses per se. It's like Scooby-Doo's Haunted Castle. Yeah. And it opens up and then there's all these tiny bits of plastic. And then there's another one for Encanto, just 1,000 like different abodes that have plastic that go with them. Yeah. And you can never exactly fold them back up the way they came because there's like a staircase that's akimbo and some of them will have like peduncle to another structure and that's a nightmare. Peppa Pig, we have all that stuff. So I feel like the pieces have to go back to the thing.
You feel like that.
Should I dispense with that?
Just, I'm telling you, start doing this today because even if here's the thing, they could be like, where is this? And you'd be like, I don't know, bro, it's your toy. Where and you could
they'll never push me on that.
Yeah. It'd be like, well, you should go look for it. And they go, eh.
I don't even think they ever actually look for it.
No.
Or care. I think I just have this idea that, well, it's more fun to play with if all the pieces are there. But I don't want to be in charge of it. Yeah. So instead, I don't put it back in the house. I just put it on the counter.
And they mix and match stuff anyway, right? Like they feel like they're like breaking the rules by like, oh, Spider-Man is visiting Peppa Pig's house. They like doing that anyway. Like my son is into Legos, and we have bought him so many Lego, and he's like, I need this Jurassic World Lego set, and
we have this problem too.
He'll like beg for it. And we're like, okay, and then he never builds the set. What he really wants is the little dinosaurs in them, and then they just become random Lego pieces. He never builds the set, but he likes he built a spaceship out of like a Thanos glove, and that's his favorite thing because it's like he made it.
Right.
So again, it's like we could, for a while, I had labeled plastic bags being, this is the Thanos glove, this is the Chris Pratt, the dinosaur Lego set, whatever. And then I go like, I was spending so much time doing that. I go, why?
See, Elliot makes, or Owen too, they make the Lego things, or they'll make 3/4 of it. And then it'll sit there, 3/4 made, with the other Legos around it forever. or they make it all the way and I don't know what to do with it, because isn't the point then, and I'm sorry for Lego people, to just disassemble it so you can make it again? But then it like we have a Lego museum happening in our house.
So there's a couple problems with Legos. One is when your kids are young, they put it together and they want to play with it, but it breaks constantly because it's hard to explain. This is not a toy, it's a model.
Right.
And then if it's like a Star Wars ship, it's just breaking, and then also they're asking you to come, will you fix it? And you're like, I don't know, bro. Like I don't have the instructions anymore. Yeah. Like, whatever. And then if they're on display, now suddenly you need like a trophy case.
Yes.
To display all these. And if that's like your kid's like thing and they love it, great. But if you're, like our kids would be like, yeah, put it up in the living room. I'm like, we don't.
This is part of our decor.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I know. I really don't know what to do with the assembled Lego situation. And I've been to the Lego store against my will.
Yeah.
There are some really cool things in there, but these aren't those.
They're almost more for adults now. Like my brother-in-law, who I love dearly, is a Lego adult. And he really enjoys the building of it. He times himself building it, and they put them on display. I don't know how my sister feels about this, but he puts them on display in his house. I go, yeah, like that's almost like your grandfather building like a ship in a bottle, right? To me, that's an okay adult thing to be doing. And they also make a lot of Lego sets that are like nostalgia sets.
Yes, I saw this cool typewriter.
Yeah, they'll have a typewriter. They'll have like there's an old school Nintendo that actually plays, or they'll have like a Back to the Future DeLorean set. I'm like, my kids don't know who Christopher Lloyd is. That's clearly targeted right at me or whatever. So I think they're realizing, and then people our age have expendable income or whatever. So I think to me, it's shifting a little bit, but yeah, like kids our age, it's such a hassle, and they get so upset because they spend so long making this, and then it breaks immediately. They're like,
or they lose Mom, I need a white 2x4. That's not a 2x4.
Yeah. And you spend so much time trying to you're like an architect or whatever, and they go like, this stupid toy broke already. You're like, it's not. It's like a Fabergé egg. It's
do you know who
looking at.
Dr. Laura is?
Yes. Oh, yes.
She's into Legos.
She
I remember
is?
Yes, I remember. I don't listen to her often, but I was like driving a long distance, and somehow I was listening to Dr. Laura, and I remember her. This is years ago, but I remember her saying that she had gotten into Legos and she was like building something, and it's just a lot of fun.
That's the most shocking thing I've ever heard.
I
that
know.
Dr. Laura's into Legos.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was just a passing fancy, but I feel like no, she's into Legos. Have you been to that Burbank store that's like bricks and minifigs?
My son has been begging me to take him there. We have yet to go. Have you been inside?
I haven't, but Elliot has gone with Daniel and with his mother-in-law.
Mm-hmm. Is it what's the vibe? Because I'm worried about even though I have the talk of be like, we're not going to buy anything, I always get kind of strong-armed into something like that. But I could, based on the Google Maps photos, I couldn't tell if it was like...
Right. I haven't been inside. They went because they had lost a specific piece.
Okay.
And they told the woman there, and she's like, hang on. And she went into the back and brought it out. So I was like, oh my God, is it like a rare music instrument store / library? But then my mother-in-law went and spent like $200 there.
This is what I'm worried about. Yeah. And if there are like rare things there that the kid decides they need, I'm worried about putting myself in a bad situation by going
vulnerability.
In there.
Yes. I don't exactly know. It looks not upscale from the outside, but
they have a big inflatable like minifigure guy outside, which of course my son is like so excited about. So we haven't been, but I'm worried I'm gonna be put in a precarious situation by taking a 7-year-old into a place like that. We went into at downtown Disney there, although it might not be closed, but there's a huge Lego store there, and as soon as we walked in, I went like, fuck. Because there's expensive sets, but then also you can get like a single Darth Vader minifigure, and he wanted to look through all of them. I'm like, this is a 90-minute outing all of a sudden where I'm gonna get asked to buy a million things.
We end up at a Lego store everywhere there is a Lego store.
Have you been to Legoland?
Yes, it took me a second.
We haven't.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
I don't like that it's far away.
It's far, yeah.
But other than that, I really liked how manageable the vibe was. It didn't feel overwhelming at all. Because I find I enjoy Disneyland, but I find it to be like pretty overwhelming.
Yeah.
Legoland was very manageable.
Do you feel like Legoland alone is worth a trip from LA to San Diego?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
Because we've been like, if we do that, we might have to also pack in like a SeaWorld or a zoo trip or something like that.
There's actually an aquarium at Legoland.
Oh,
which
really?
I have a little bit of resentment about.
Why?
Because I'm obsessed with fish. I don't know if you've gotten that far in the podcast,
Yeah,
or you might have noticed the fish tanks.
Yeah, yes.
It's a new
there's
thing.
a starfish. Yes.
Oh yeah. There's two. Owen wanted fish for Christmas. That's where it started. And I was like, okay, cool. We'll get him like a fish in a bowl, but you can't do that anymore.
Oh, is that like inhumane or?
Yeah, they need way more than just a bowl. They need a tank. They need a heater. They need a pump. They need blah, 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 all the stuff. So then like stepping into this world, which now I'm obsessed with, it's like any subculture or hobby. There's 1,000 opinions, and I was like, someone just tell me, and I kept finding differing opinions and conflicting. That was the word I was looking for. Conflicting opinions. And then my friend Izzy was like, she's like, here's my advice. Don't do it. Get a hamster instead. Like,
a hamster to me seems worse.
I know. I think there's fewer decisions.
They require less accoutrement, perhaps.
Yes.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's like building Legos, but except that there's not like this one has to go with this one or something. Right. It's somewhere between having a pet and like scrapbooking or decorating or something. It's like, because I'm like obsessed with the fish, and in the morning I like get up and I feed them and I do this and this, and then the dogs come out and I'm like, not now, like not now, guys.
Do you think they're jealous of the fish?
Probably.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like dogs offer so much more, but it's sort of also like the way the kids are like, Mommy, I'm like, not now.
Yeah. I'm looking at the fish.
It requires a lot of you and also very little of you. But anyway, so bought the tank for Owen. He doesn't do shit for this tank, but I found that I was really into it. And then we got the salt water, and then so I'm like fully in. If there was a meetup where I could go talk to people about fish tanks, I would. There's the Burbank Scales and Tails.
Oh, yeah, right across from Tony's Darts Away, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Is it across from it? Probably. I don't know.
I think it is. I used to get my hair cut right there.
Okay.
I no longer do. Yeah, I think it's right across from Tony's Darts Away. So you can have an IPA and look at a weird lizard store while you do so. It's
the weirdest store, but I live there now. And there was a woman there, and we just started talking about fish, and I was like, this is what my life has been needing. I followed her home. What? Not really. But anyway, so obsessed with fish.
Yeah.
We were at Legoland for Elliot's birthday. Elliot and Daniel near the end, because it was like going to close at a certain time, and Owen wants to do this and Elliot wants to do this. So we separated, reconvened at the exit. And I found out that they had gone to the aquarium, which I thought was going to be made out of Legos.
Yeah,
no, there's actual sea creatures.
That's really confusing.
I don't know how big. I doubt they have like a Shamu there. I'm sure they don't, but they do have a lot of things that an actual aquarium would have.
Weird.
Yeah. So all of that is to say, I think you're good for just Legoland for a day. Yeah.
Do you think they like Legoland was like they must have
San Diego? It's required.
They must have run out of ideas if they put an aquarium in there, right?
Yeah. I do wonder.
Like Disneyland doesn't have an aquarium.
Mm-mm.
They have plenty of shit they can put in there.
Right.
Knott's Berry Farm does not have an aquarium.
No.
And they're right next to SeaWorld.
Yeah. It's like, did they catch SeaWorld's cast-offs or something?
Oh, maybe they got some discount fish and wildlife.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Have you taken the kids to Knott's Berry Farm? We have not.
No, I went a fair amount when I was just being an Orange County kid.
Same.
My wife had she is maybe traumatized because I think the only time she went there was during a Not Scary Farm when she was in high school, and she
still never
hates
gone.
being scared. And she she kind of explains that as the scariest moment of her life. I think it was she went with some friends. She had just moved here, and so she was like trying to be like, oh, I'm making friends. We'll go to Not Scary Farm, and she I don't think she'd mind me telling this, but she was so
Did
scared.
she pee her pants?
No, but the gift shop apparently is the only place where the like actors can't scare you, and so she spent the entire night in the gift shop while her friends went out and actually enjoyed it.
Oh my God, I also can't stand being scared. I've never been to Not Scary Farm. I would be in the gift shop with her. I love that they have a safe haven though.
It's like a consulate where they can't get at you.
Exactly.
Yeah. I hate being scared. I don't think I've ever seen a scary movie.
Does that not interfere with your job?
It's okay. Usually I will Wikipedia read the plot of a scary movie if I have to know. I've still never seen Get Out, even though everyone tells me, oh no, Get Out it's not really a scary movie. I go, even the word really in that sentence.
Right.
I think I'm an anxious enough person that I don't want to sit for 2 hours and be made anxious. Like I'm looking for the opposite of that in a movie. And I watch plenty of dumb stuff, but I even stuff that's not bloody, just suspenseful freaks me out, and I don't like it.
I take it home with me.
Yeah.
And then think about it in every crevice of my life, and it keeps me awake. Have you seen Silence of the Lambs? Because people keep telling me I could handle that, but I haven't seen it.
I watched that like as an adult, like much older. Okay, so here's a trick maybe, because I have seen a couple. I just recently watched Alien for the first time. In the last 6 months I watched Alien, and the reason I did was because I go, everyone says that's one of the best sci-fi movies of all time. I love sci-fi movies. I go, how have I never seen Alien? I go, it's because it's scary. But I go, well, that movie came out in like the like early 80s or something like that, and so now when you watch it, it looks so old. I could not watch a current Alien movie. Like these reboot would freak me out, but that one's old enough where you almost kind of laugh at it, or you're like, oh, it looks sort of like a comedy sketch now, even though at the time it was groundbreaking.
Maybe I'll try it.
So I think like now, and Silence of the Lambs, my recollection is like it's more of like a crime thriller as opposed to like a jump out and scare you.
I watched Mindhunter, and someone said that if you could handle Mindhunter, you can handle Silence of the Lambs.
I didn't watch Mindhunter, but I would say that's probably true based on it's almost like an episode of like Law and Order.
Well, see, I went through a big Law and Order SVU phase, and Daniel would walk in and they'd be describing the crime or whatever, and he'd be like, "How can you handle this?" And I'm like, I don't know. It's cartoonish.
Yeah.
It's a very black and white procedural. I don't mean black and white like the TV. I mean like good and bad.
Yeah,
it's not disturbing.
Yes. And Silence of the Lambs, I think, is a little disturbing, but also too, now, like Anthony Hopkins and Jodie Foster are so good, and they're legendary actors. So then now there's also kind of like an interest to like, oh, I want to see the two of them in a movie.
Right.
And that one was okay for me. I'd also try to watch it like during the day.
Oh, yeah.
Like
I'm not an idiot.
So you say you take it home with you. I go, my house is the last place I would watch a scary movie, because then you start just every little creak. And there's a cabin up in Idlewild that my grandmother owned for many years, and there's just a ton of like movies up there. All my old like WGA screeners I would take and I would leave up there, and it was like a place you'd go and watch movies, right? And so I was up there by myself, finishing my book actually, and I was like, oh, I'm by myself. I'm never by myself. I'm going to watch a movie. And Get Out was up there. And I go, I've never seen Get Out. I'm going to watch Get Out. And I realized I'm in a cabin in the middle of the fucking woods. There's no street lights on this street. And I went like, I will not go to sleep if I do this. And so I decided not to. It's like even though I know it's not real, but I think that's that one little, I still have that childhood like fear that I go, maybe if I watch this movie, it will be real.
Have you read the synopsis of Us?
Yes,
that seems scary.
I know. Well, and like Jordan Peele is like awesome, and I see that the trailers for his movies are so interesting.
Yeah.
And so this movie Sinners is about to come out too. And I'm looking at that and I was like, I love Michael B. Jordan. I love Ryan Coogler. The plot of this seems great. The trailer was too scary for me. And I was like, so once people see that and write out the synopsis, I'll read on Wikipedia and go, oh yeah, that sounds good.
What about Handmaid's Tale? The show, because that's one that I had to finish on Wikipedia. Could not make it through. That was too upsetting.
I haven't seen it. I also have a problem with things that I know are going to be too much of a downer. Like a lot of Oscar movies, I'll have the screener and like The Brutalist, for instance. I was like, everyone says The Brutalist is great. My time is so limited between my job and my kids. And it's like when my wife and I are sitting down, we're like, are we going to watch a 3.5 hour Holocaust movie, even though we know it's like everyone says it's fantastic and Adrian Brody's great. It's just like, do I have the energy to sit and give this movie what it deserves?
Have not seen Schindler's List.
I never have either.
And I also haven't seen Zone of Interest.
I also my wife watched Zone of Interest.
Recommended to me.
I should say I watched Zone of Interest because I wrote on the Oscars the year that was one of the movies. I usually, so we've written for the Oscars 4 times now. I usually get through.
Who's the we?
Jimmy, and then all of our writers. At the
you
show
guys all do it.
Okay, yeah. Jimmy always brings us along, which is very nice of him. And so they give us screeners for all the movies, and usually I watch all of them. We have one writer's assistant named Tom who literally watches every documentary, every movie. So we can usually go to him and be
that's so good. That's so helpful.
Yeah. He knows all the odds, like who's supposed to win and stuff like that. But so I will I'll watch the movies, or if my wife watches one, she'll kind of give me a little recap, or I'll read on Wikipedia to kind of get, so like also I didn't watch Anatomy of a Fall. I shouldn't admit this. I didn't watch Anatomy of a Fall, but that one I need to read the plot of it, and then so I could write jokes about like the dog and whatever, and I knew enough about it. But part of it was time, and part of it was just like, it's Friday night. Do you want to watch a movie about a a dead person? And usually the answer is no.
A show that I could handle, but I was like, I'm surprised I'm watching this. This is scary. The first season of Yellow Jackets.
I haven't seen Yellow Jackets, and everyone says it's scary, but is it not?
I really liked it. It was, it kept my interest. Although I didn't finish that. Was it that season? I don't know what season we're in now. I didn't watch the season finale, and I'm forgetting which season it was that I didn't watch. And then I've heard that it kind of like dipped in quality. So I haven't really wanted to get back into it.
Part of it is that I'm also kind of cheap and I don't have Showtime. So I think that's part of it too. But same with, I didn't have HBO forever. Like I got to the point where it was like almost embarrassing when I got HBO. And so like, I haven't seen The Sopranos. I haven't seen
you haven't?
No. And I should, everyone says it's great, but I just like, and like The Wire too. Everyone, like people want to like assault you physically if you say you haven't seen The Wire. And I just
I've heard it takes 3 seasons to get into it.
I don't have that kind of time.
No.
It's, yeah.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
So I have famously not seen so many things that everyone has seen. But I don't work in late night TV where it's expected that I have. Yeah. Well, although I do work tangentially in like culture.
Of course. Yeah, I know. You're like a pop culture reporter sort of. Right. Yeah.
So do you get people being like, "Oh my God, you haven't seen XYZ all the time like I do?"
Yeah, I think I bet my list would probably rival yours for things I haven't seen, and I try to keep it under my
secret
cap. Yeah, and I know usually I know enough about something to write a joke about it. Like I kind of know what the cultural touchstones from the thing are. Like I've never seen The Godfather, any of them, and I go like,
those I actually have seen, but like in the last 8 years or something. Yeah. I made it a point to watch them.
I'm trying to make a list of like I want to get through some of them.
Have you seen Top Gun? I haven't.
Top Gun I've seen. Yeah. Top Gun. God, I'm trying to think. There's if we start listing stuff, I guarantee 9 out of 10 I will not have seen, and it's embarrassing, but I mean, the nice thing though is I end up hearing about a lot of things at work because like people will come on to promote stuff, and we have a morning meeting at the show where our segment producers will run Jimmy through like, hey, this guest is on to promote this, and if Jimmy hasn't watched the thing yet, the segment producer will go, here's what it's about, and they'll kind of run through it, or Jimmy will go, oh, I watched it last night.
Clean, yeah.
So I kind of hear like a bunch of my friends sort of talk about it every day, so I end up kind of like I absorb it. And then the stuff I really want to see, and my tastes are very basic. I love Marvel movies. I love Star Wars. Like I mean, I'm it's real
nerdy.
Nerdy kind of like low calorie kind of stuff. But I love that. But I've then become the expert on that at our show. So we all kind of have our areas of specialty. And like I don't watch reality TV, but we have a lot of our writers who do, and some of our producers do. So I think together we all we have all the bases covered.
Right.
I know nothing about sports, but a few of our writers could write anything about that.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I think it's time to do some segments now.
Great.
Let's do Just Me or Everyone.
Okay.
Do you have one?
I do have one.
Sometimes I ponder on something I have thought or done. Is it just me or everyone?
I find that I'm nicer to people who drive the same car as me.
Oh, interesting.
Like if you get cut off by any random car, you could be like, this asshole, whatever. But if I'm cut off by someone who drives a 2021 Ford Focus,
you're like, oh, they have great taste in automobiles.
This must be a reasonable person.
Yeah.
And I've thought a lot about that, and I go, that might be the key to what's wrong with humanity. You know, I'd be like, we're nicer to someone simply because we go, well, I'm not a dick.
I see myself in them.
Yeah. You know, I go, oh, okay. The other thing I do always is I always sit on the aisle in a movie theater because I'm worried I'll have to get up to pee. And even if I never have to pee during the movie, if I sit in the middle, I think about it the whole time.
Yes.
And it makes me, somehow my bladder responds to this weird feedback loop. And then I have to, I just inconvenience people, and I don't want to do that. I never sit in the window seat on a plane either.
I'm the same.
I'd rather someone climb over me 100 times to go to the bathroom than to have to do it to one person another time.
If I need to pee and I'm in a window seat, and it's been years since I've been in that unfortunate situation, I just don't.
Yeah.
Because I can't, especially if they fall asleep, then I'm like, well, I will be sitting in my own urine.
Yeah.
Because I cannot possibly use my voice.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. And it's like, you know, that's the deal when you sit on the aisle. But now, when you fly with your family, how do you break up? Because you have two parents, two kids. It's only 3 seats.
Right.
How do you guys do it on the plane?
So usually when we fly, we'd bring our mother-in-law with us. That's the secret weapon.
That's good.
So we usually have, like the last time we flew, it was, am I right that it was 2-4-2?
Oh, it was like, I feel like planes like that only exist in like 90s movies. I feel like I've never actually been on a plane that has that big center thing. It's like everything is like a Southwest plane to me now. It's like 3 seats on either side.
We were in the hunt for Red October. Yeah, so it was an international flight.
I see. Okay.
So we had 2 and then 3.
Gotcha.
And I purchased it. So in the 4, I kept the empty one in the middle, hoping that then someone wouldn't sit
pick
there.
It. Right.
Which worked on one leg.
Yeah.
It didn't on the other. So then at that point, it's like, would you prefer to have the aisle? And
yeah, right.
My child did fall asleep on a stranger who was very, very kind, apparently. Yeah.
Good.
So I remember on the way going, the 2 boys wanted to sit together, which normally we wouldn't. Normally we wouldn't do that though. Yeah. Normally it'd be like one parent and a kid, or like 2 kids and grandma.
Yeah.
But they wanted to sit together, and so they did. And then it was like, so it was the 2 kids here, aisle, 3 adults.
That's good. My kids, I think, would be they would do everything they could to not sit next to each other. And so,
what's the age difference?
3.5 years.
Okay.
And so the first few times we did this, we would have one parent with 1 kid. So each kid kind of had their own like service, and they like give the snacks and charge the iPad and like all that kind of stuff. And then but actually that's what we got to. We used to do, one parent would be with the 2 kids on one side, and then one parent would basically get like one leg of the trip would be like, like free pass or whatever, like you're by yourself. But being with both the kids was kind of like too much. So now we do 1 and 1, and that feels somewhat more manageable.
And does it change up who gets which kid?
Yeah, we switch and both the kids are pretty easy now. It's like we have like 11 and 7, so it's like they're happy to have 5 hours of screen time, unfettered, so they're pretty easy, and you can tranquilize them with carbohydrates and all that kind of stuff.
Do you limit screen time?
We do. We're not a lot of fun, my wife and I, and we just base it on kind of like how our kids react to the device, and I think we've noticed like when we haven't restricted it's like we see a marked difference in their just kind of their mental state. It's like
emotions.
Our son can get really amped up, and then I think our daughter's just like it's sort of like numbing, and she'll be happy to do it all day, and it kind of bums us out. So we've like we've limited YouTube as well. So it's like, okay, like screen time for us starts on like a weekday, starts at 4. So then we go, okay, so they come home, they do some homework, and then like the most they'll probably get is like 2 hours, because then we eat dinner around 6, you know. And then on Friday and the weekends, they can start a little earlier. And then YouTube is like only on the weekends, because we feel like that is just like methamphetamine. It's like, it's so, even kids' YouTube is like, it's awful. If they're watching it in the living room, I'm like annoyed to be in the house. Like it's adults yelling about video games mostly on kids' YouTube.
Yeah.
So we've limited that. And we didn't have an iPad for like a year. Because it broke. The kids were fighting over it and it broke, right? And because, again, I'm no fun, I went, oh, this is a great opportunity to not have an iPad, right? And so we didn't have one, and it was like the vibe between the kids got so much better because we only had one. They always wanted it, and there were games on it, and it was like this really like desirable item in the house. And so my wife was taking them on a trip to go see her mom, and we were sort of like, it was like their spring break, and we were kind of going like, they're going to be traveling, and there's not going to be a lot for them to do at their grandma's house or whatever. And we go, okay, we're going to get some iPads. And but I set it up like a little, like a business negotiation. They sat across the table from us, and I went, okay, we've purchased something, and you can have them if you're willing to follow the following rules. And we said, this device will have no games on it. It's just for watching, you know, Netflix, Disney Plus, whatever. You can only use it on the weekends or when we're traveling, and you can text like your family, but you know, and we check them out like library books, and we get them back or whatever. And they were like, okay. And they were so excited to have an iPad. They agreed to all the rules. And kind of the beautiful thing that's happened is they don't really care about them now. And so then we were going
made it so unpleasant.
Exactly. No, that was my goal. And my wife was like, are we being like sticks in the mud here? I go, yes, but I don't want to have to deal with these. Steve Jobs, the greatest prank he pulled on humanity was creating the iPad and then dying.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's like, it's an amazing device. And then I think he's, kids are just so obsessed with them. So yeah, we kind of had to make it. It feels like a library book almost. And then it's like, we're going on a plane. Okay, sure. Watch, you know, whatever you want, for as long as you want. But they haven't even really asked us for them since we got them, which is sort of the goal.
Amazing.
Yeah. But
see, this is something I think that sort of relates to your book about like I know it's comedy, but still there is this thing of like, find the areas of your life that are being made, you know, unimaginably worse because you have kids and fix that.
Yeah.
And but there's upsides too. So as we walk through the house when we're done, you'll see 2 children on iPads. We don't have limits. I remember the first time they brought them in the car, and I was like, do we really need them to, like, can they really not be in a car without them? Especially Elliot, who gets car sick, you know. Now they take him in the car. And they're on them in the morning and they're on them at night. And they do really cool things, though. Like they both do Minecraft, and Owen does Procreate, and he makes little comics. And I mean, and he knows so much because, you know, he's watching YouTube, but learning a lot. And we can sleep in some days because they're on, you know, like all the benefits for us. But Owen will get very frustrated because he can't figure out how to do something in Minecraft, and he'll have a full meltdown over it, and he'll throw his iPad. And it's like, there's so many moments where I think it'd be, or, you know, trying to get them ready for school in the morning. And the iPad is in the way.
Yeah.
Although I feel like no kids are like, yes, okay, I will get dressed right now. Like it's always kind of a struggle.
Yeah, we have that at our house.
Yeah. But there's like so many times I wish we had limits on it. And I know that the person standing in the way of that is me. Yeah. It's like, I don't know how to get this horse back in the barn. Although I know, just rip the Band-Aid off, just do it.
Yeah. And like, I think making a change like that, it's like, it'll suck for like 2 weeks. And then it's like, and then it's right. Fine or whatever. And also too, like, it's not bad to just let them do that too. Cause like, I have plenty of friends, like my really good friends, Mike and Ruby. It's like, yeah, their boys get up and like watch TV in the morning on a school day. Their boys are totally fine. You know? And so sometimes like Kelly, my wife, and I are like, maybe we're being like too restrictive, and we're this way with like sugar and treats like that too. Our kids eat plenty of bullshit, but like but we go like we try to be like a little restrictive with it, and we talk all the time where I lived in a very healthy home when I was a kid, and Kelly's household was very much like they always had a dish of candy out, and they had like ice cream every night, whatever. We now as adults have the same relationship with sugar and stuff. I go like, there's plenty of times where like I think.
Oh, that's funny. So you never like went the other way because of a restrictive upbringing.
When I was in college, I went like nuts eating like so much. I gained so much weight, and also too, I think I didn't really know. I think because my mom only bought healthy stuff, I kind of didn't understand that like all food was not healthy, you know, and so. Like I tell my kids this, would be like, yeah, like when I was living in the dorms at UCLA, every night for dinner, I'd eat a piece of pizza and then whatever a second entree was. And then I'd have a bowl of Lucky Charms every night. Cause I'm like, well, cereal is good for you. Eat it for breakfast. It must be good. And then I gained so much weight and I felt like terrible all the time. And I go, oh, you know, so, but Kelly kind of always knew that growing up. So I think it all kind of comes out in the wash.
Yes.
Eventually, you know, so. We are no judge like type of parents where we're just like whatever is working for you, God bless you. That's what you need to do. But yeah, we just like the little bit we kind of experimented with that kind of stuff when our kids were little. We're like, I think in our family, I think we need to like dial it back and kind of hold on to it. But then, you know, it's like, we're also not crazy if like they're, you know, and now the kids don't even ask to turn on the TV before 4:00. They know we're going to say no. They know we're no fun. So, you know,
and they can tell time. It sounds like that's good.
We would laugh because like, when they were a little bit younger, they would like around like, you know, in the afternoon, they'd be hanging out in the kitchen. We're like, what are they doing? And they'd be staring at the clock on the microwave, just sort of like rubbing their hands together. And like, our son would be like, oh, only 2 more minutes, you know, like as if, you know, it was like the TV wouldn't even turn on before 4:00, you know? And so we're like, well, I guess that's good. But the absence of that stuff, it does make them play together a little more. And like, they have always butted heads. But I feel like when the iPad was broken, I go, oh, they're actually watching TV together more often. I was like, oh, okay. It's not like, you know, the natural stuff does kind of fill the void when it's not there. So we've had decent luck with it. It sounds like your kids probably have a way more fun life than my kids.
I don't know. I mean, the tablets bring Owen frustration. Well, life brings Owen frustration though.
Life is frustrating.
Yeah. Okay. So we did just mirror everyone. Do you happen to have a hey, go fuck yourself?
You know, I was really trying to think about this. I'm generally a positive person, and you know, politics aside, we'll leave that out of it, I guess. But I had an experience that was so good with an online pharmacy that it makes me want to say go fuck yourself to every in-person pharmacy.
Was it Amazon Pharmacy?
No, it's called Nimble. I'm not a spokesperson.
Yeah.
Nimble RX. For some reason, my dermatologist, I have a steroid cream I put on my face for eczema, and this specific thing he has prescribed me is available through like an apothecary in Beverly Hills that is serviced by something called Nimble RX. And I get a text message saying, hey, Daniel, your thing is ready. And I go, okay. And I click a button and then it shows up free. I don't know why it's free. I guess through my insurance or something.
Great.
And then like a month later, they go, hey, I get a text. Hey, do you need another one? I just type yes. And then a new one just comes to my house. And I'm thinking I've been the CVS, I'm sure, is perhaps also the CVS you use. It's close to here. I've been there.
The one at Target or the one that's next to Popeyes?
The one that's next to Popeyes.
It's open 24 hours, which it lures you in. And then you find out that it's the most miserable experience. There's no customer service. There's always a long line and it's impossible to reach them on the phone. We try to never go there.
It's awful. That is our, like, for some reason, still our, like, what's on file with our doctor. And I went there to go get some, like, antibiotics for my son, and they were like, I got a text that it was ready, and then I got there and they had like didn't even have my name on file, all this thing. And then so I'm sitting in like that. They always have one chair.
There's one uncomfortable chair,
gross, and it's just covered in God knows what diseases.
Right.
And this is at Christmas time, and I just sit next to like an animatronic Santa for like literally like 90 minutes.
Oh, so long.
And I'm just so mad. I go, why is this the medicine process? And so, but then I go, but I know there's now a way better alternative that it's like Uber Eats basically for medicine. They just bring it right to your house and it's free.
I got to look up this Nimble RX.
I don't know how you get, I go literally like my doctor prescribed me this thing, and I just started getting text messages from this magical company. So I don't know. That is one place, like I'm always bummed when like a tech giant,
I know, disrupts in a way that helps your life.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. You're like, fuck, I guess they're right about something.
Well, that's sort of how I feel about Amazon. Now, I am an Amazon influencer. I do have a storefront, and everyone please shop there.
And my audiobook's coming out on Audible, owned by Amazon.
Right.
They do good things. Okay, we can we can agree.
That's right. They make our lives easier, even though I've heard all the arguments against it. But anyway, Amazon.com/shop/Allison But okay, so we just switched health insurance from Cigna, who the people on the phone are nice, but you have to call 17 times for every single claim.
Yeah.
We're now at Blue Shield, and Cigna uses Express Scripts.
Okay.
And Blue Shield has their online pharmacy stuff through Amazon Pharmacy.
Okay.
So, set it up, and then it arrives the next night. And I was like, oh my God,
wow.
The same. Because with Express Scripts, it's always like you can rush it and it'll be 5 to 8 business days or something. But normally it'll take 2 to 3 weeks. So if you're not on top of it, you're going to run out.
Yep.
And I was like, oh my God, this is pills, but using Amazon's delivery infrastructure. This is amazing.
Yeah.
And it was so fast and so easy. And I was going to say I didn't have to make a phone call, but I actually did have to make one phone call. But I'm pretty jazzed about it.
Amazon has now gotten so good at delivery. There's an option to tell them to cool it a little bit because
right,
they're like, we can bring this to your house right fucking now if you want. You go, the delivery day on Monday is
I know.
Fine.
With things where I'm like, am I really going to open up the package on Sunday?
Yeah.
No.
And my wife makes fun of me because any Amazon package I get, I open it, I tear it open like a Kodiak bear.
Oh, really?
And
I let them pile up.
I'm so excited. I mean, it won't sit on the package or on the porch more than 30 seconds, especially if it's like a gadget I ordered.
The opposite of me.
I open it, I plug it in, I charge it. I go, anything I order, I'm really excited to get. But I've had to, exhibit some strength and go like, it's okay. I can wait another day and a half to get this. I don't need, my compression socks right now or, whatever. But they do. It's like
do you actually wear compression socks for long days on set? Okay.
No, I just had sort of, I don't know why compression socks bubbled up, but I don't even know.
Do you even know what they are?
I've just heard it as I've used it as like a joke reference before.
They
for something.
saved my life during pregnancy, Danny, and I'll still sometimes wear them on long flights or long days. Yeah, they're socks that are tight on your legs, or I guess maybe stockings are more, but I wore the knee-high compression stockings, and they make it so your legs don't get swollen. And your feet feel good at the end of the day. They're like a hug.
So what's the science behind that? I don't even...
I think if you're flying or you're walking a lot, the blood can pool in your legs.
I see.
Or fluid. You can retain fluid.
Yeah.
So it just keeps it from happening because it kind of like compresses. Guys, don't go on Jeopardy with that tidbit of info. Someone look it up. But that's my understanding.
I'm getting very into... things like this now. I turned 40 last year, and I feel like on that day I started like feeling things in my body I'd never felt before, and I need to exercise now just to feel like normal. Like I go, I'm not going to be like strong now, or like look buff. I go, it's just so my back doesn't hurt when I get out of bed in the morning. I need to like
what's your exercise of choice?
I run in our neighborhood here, because we have a good running neighborhood, and I do that because I really, in my day is so packed. Our production day is so tight, but I have about 40 minutes in the morning, and I want to get like the most bang for my buck, and I feel like going for a run and listening for a podcast is kind of my that. We have like a little, like some free weights in the garage, like that kind of thing. But I never really get there because I feel like that. I'm like, if I do that for half an hour, I don't think I really see a difference. And really, I just kind of want to be like skinny is kind of always my main goal.
Vanity.
Yeah.
I need to get back. I used to exercise every day. I used to ride the bike every single day. And I've really fallen off. Not literally. I need to get back on it, especially because Daniel will be like, well, not especially because, but Daniel will be like, I'm worried about you. Like, I've been reading studies that like strength training is so important for women and And there's two things I say I'm going to do and I don't do it. I don't strength train and I don't brush my dog's ears or teeth. And that's not fair to the dogs and it's not fair to my body.
Yeah.
So 2026 is going to be the year. That's the year.
All right.
All right. So your Hey Go Fuck Yourself is pharmacies that aren't Nimble.
Yeah.
RX.
In-person pharmacies. Yeah. We don't need to do that anymore.
Hey, go fuck yourself.
They're even, you can tell they're freaked out from COVID. Like now the Popeye CVS they still have the shields
the glass,
up that protect the pharmacists and the cashiers. And you have to touch the touchpad,
right?
Like why? Even like in an age of Apple Pay, you can use Apple Pay on the CVS, pay terminal, but you still have to. They ask you 3 questions, like, is this okay? And you have to sign.
Yeah,
we should not be doing that. There's no reason we need to be going in person.
Because for me the options, I was like, I either get my prescription at CVS, I get it at Walgreens, or I get it at Walmart. And I'm like, wait a minute. There's a world of mom and pop pharmacies.
Yeah.
Like, why am I only going to these ones that are actually Walmart was usually the easiest, but why am I only doing this? So I found a mom and pop pharmacy that got really good reviews and I switched everything over there. I have not been that happy there. And you want to know why? They don't seem that grateful to have me as a customer. I need more from them. They're fine.
That's so funny.
They're not that great though.
This is, there was a little period where I was making my own beer, and I think this might relate with and my brother and I were making beer in my backyard, and it took forever. We had to buy so much equipment.
Yeah.
It was really expensive. The beer tasted terrible. And I was constantly getting food poisoning because the bottles weren't clean. So I was like vomiting from, whatever. And then at some point, my brother and I went, you know what? If you buy a 6-pack of beer at the store, it's like $10, and I go, and I think maybe like sometimes, and maybe this is not, liberal of me to say, but sometimes you're like, it's okay to maybe let go of like, for instance, in our neighborhood here, we have a lot of little coffee shops. I try to equally go to all of them.
Oh, that's so nice.
Because I don't want any of them to close, whatever. I go, but sometimes I do just want a Starbucks.
Yeah.
And I go, and I can order on an app and just walk in and pick it up. And so I think it's okay to allow yourself, as long as you're doing your best to, patron, all the places in your neighborhood. I think it's okay to like,
go to Amazon Pharmacy.
Yeah, that's okay. You can bank at, Chase or whatever. It's okay. You got to do your best, but you also can't put yourself out too much.
Well, speaking of banks though, I recently have opened up an account at the credit union. And I do enjoy that. I enjoy how, I mean, okay. My entire life I was at Citibank.
Yeah.
Fine. I had no issues, no anything. And then my dad died a year and a half ago. My mom died in December.
Sorry to hear that.
So thank you. Yeah. So my whole life is dealing with the estate and all of that stuff. So I spend between 6 and 8 hours at a bank every single goddamn day, practically. So I have been very frustrated with the state of banking in this country and especially with Citibank, the Valley Village branch. I recently had a breakthrough with Edward at the Citibank downtown Burbank branch. I do not love downtown Burbank because I don't love parking.
Yeah.
But they seem to be on top of their shit.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, now I'm like very intimate with all the banks, but my credit union account where I can't do anything trust related because my parents didn't have an account in a credit union, but I separately have my own. Like great customer service, super. The app is easy to use. They seem grateful. They seem grateful for me. Apparently that's a thing.
We've been wanting to start, our daughter's the age, where it's like, oh, maybe we'll get you like your.
Yeah, they have kids accounts at credit unions.
I think we're going to do that. We bank at one of the big ones that I think is on the list of maybe they've done some not great stuff politically. Maybe you shouldn't bank there. But I think
I probably know which one because I said to Daniel recently, I'm like, who was the best of all of them? Was should I say the name?
Sure.
Why not? Well, I don't know who. Yeah. I'll say who for me was the best.
Right.
Chase.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, oh yeah, they're bad. But I forget why.
That's not who we use.
Okay.
And I think mine is also on the list. I remember there was at some point people were like, pull your money out of this bank. And I was like, that's going to be complicated.
Yeah, exactly.
So as much as I want to help the cause or whatever. But for us, it would be much easier if our daughter had an account at the same bank or whatever. But I want to support the credit union in our neighborhood, So, but it's good to know they're easy. I think that'd be okay. I think we'd get over whatever inconvenience we might have.
Owen's class had a field trip to the credit union. Isn't that weird?
It's weird.
I was a chaperone on that field trip, so I went along, and I was just like, what is happening? Why are we having a field trip to the credit union? And I still don't know, other than it's in the neighborhood, and I think maybe they have something to do with the PTA funds. I don't know. It was a whole thing, but I mean, I like that there's field trips.
Yeah. This was not a field trip, but this made me think of this. My wife, for one of her, maybe her 7th or her 8th birthday, she had it at McDonald's, which was more common, I think.
Yeah, I had a Ronald McDonald cake for one of my birthdays.
Yeah, and so part of the package that they did was that you would go and everyone would get a little shake and a little hamburger, and then you got to tour the kitchen or whatever. And she goes, I remember it was like me and all my friends, and then there's just like probably some teenager, who's just like, oh Jesus Christ, like I got to show these 7-year-olds how like the fryer works or whatever. But I always love that idea of taking a bunch of young kids to a place they didn't even know existed and definitely don't care about.
Right.
Yeah. Did you have any bad field trips when you were a kid? Like, do you remember?
Oh, I mean, I remember we went to Disney Music Hall and saw like a Philharmonic or something.
Yeah.
But I was just like, I thought we were going to Disney. I'm like, what? So that was disappointing.
Yeah.
Let me see what I could. The first field trip I remember, we took the train to San Juan Capistrano, and my mom came. That was cool. We went to the Bowers, so Orange County as well. So we went to the Bowers Museum. I thought that was pretty cool. We went to a planetarium. Also, I guess I pretty much only went on good field trips. Did you have bad ones?
I'm trying to, I was in the Cub Scouts when I was a kid. I feel like we did more bad ones through the Cub Scouts.
Probably, yeah.
Because they're trying to teach you like real world skills, which I think involves...
Like the credit union.
Here's how to balance a checkbook. Yeah. We had a lot of like, it'd be at like one of the kids' houses, and then like one of the other dads who worked in computer science would come to tell us about computer science.
Yes.
And we're like 7 going like, okay, so that there was a lot of like, we're like knot tying specialists, there was a lot.
Did you do Boy Scouts too?
I did just for a couple of years. I come from a long line of Eagle Scouts, and I was the first one to
oh my God,
not become one. Yeah, my dad was an Eagle Scout. My grandfather was an Eagle Scout. My great grandfather was an Eagle Scout, and I maybe
how did they feel when you came out?
My dad, who I love, has always been very supportive, and he knew because I was in kind of like a shitty troop, and I think my dad saw that, like, because he always told me, he goes, for me, Boy Scouts was like his dad, my grandpa, would like take all the other scouts, they'd hop in his in his Chevy, and they'd drive down to Mexico, and they'd camp for a week, and like it was really like amazing stuff. And he goes, you're just in this like in this church parking lot having like some dickhead parent yell at you for like not knowing how to use a compass on a map or whatever. And so he knew it was like lame, and he's like, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah.
I was a brownie.
Oh, you were?
And we met at the church next to the school. I think I enjoyed it. Although I do remember one of the activities was a parent brought little manicure sets for all of us, which feels very Orange County.
Yeah.
But I remember there was a father-daughter dinner date or so. This was popular back then, you know? And so the dads came and we like made spaghetti and I actually recently, because I'm going through my parents' house, I recently found the picture of me and my dad from that.
Oh.
Word, you know what? I don't even need to tell everyone. I was going to say word to everyone. Digitize your photos because old photos fade so much. But I don't need to say that because anyone who has photos now, this is just a word to other old people who are old like me. Digitize childhood photos because they're going to be like various colors of yellow at this point. And then no moms wanted to lead the Girl Scout troop, so we never got to be Girl Scouts, but that was fine.
Oh.
There was also something, and I'm wondering if you guys had this, maybe it not in your school. So some kids did brownies, and then some kids did something called Indian maidens and Indian princesses.
I've heard of this. It's something that would be scandalous today. Yes, yeah.
When I remembered it, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe we had that.
A bunch of white kids dressed up like Native Americans. Yeah.
And it was like Indian prince, Indian princess, and Indian maiden. So Indian maidens was like girls and their moms, and then Indian princesses was girls and their dads. Was there even Indian prince? Was it boys and their dads? I don't know. But I was like, what a relic of a time gone by. But then I looked it up and it still exists.
Oh, really?
But I think they changed. I think it had to do with the YMCA. And I think they were like, if this is going to continue, we have to change the name.
Right.
But I don't know what actually happened. I was just shocked to see that recent stuff comes up for it.
Yeah, and like, you know, they meant well, but you know,
we dressed up as pilgrims and Indians for our Thanksgiving Day program. Did you guys do that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And you'd make like the little like
out of a grocery bag, you'd make a little vest.
We've things have moved in the right direction for sure. Sometimes you see a picture and you go, "Oh, I'm surprised that way."
Yeah,
that was not flagged as bad. Yeah.
I was going through the garage and I found a box marked dolls. And so this was not my sister and my dolls. These were dolls that, or maybe I don't think they were. I don't know whose dolls these were. I think they were my mom's parents or my mom's. But anyway, they were like, and I remember seeing these as a kid, international dolls. So a doll dressed as someone from from around the world.
Right.
And I was like, oh boy, I wonder what this is going to be like.
Yeah.
And it was uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of my favorite things from your book, can you please share about your daughter's favorite book that you had to put in the purgatory cabinet?
Oh, yeah. So my grandmother was going through some of her stuff, and she had this book that I remember I had heard of, but she goes, just very sweetly, she goes, oh, I have some books from when I was a little girl. And she's passed away recently, but she was 92. So she was a little girl a very long time ago. And the book was called The Five Chinese Brothers. And so she was like, I have some old books when I was a little girl, whatever. Do you want these? And we're sure. And then we just bring this stack of books home and go, hey, here you go. We gave them to our daughter.
Some dusty books.
Yeah, great. And our daughter was probably 3. And she fell in love with the book, The Five Chinese Brothers. And she'd be like, can you read this to me? We go, of course, sweetie. And we start reading it. We're like, oh boy, this has not aged well. I mentioned this in the book, and then I tried to do a little research into it. I go, well, this must have been written by someone from China, I guess. The author was Swiss. This is definitely written by a white person. And the plot of the book, literally the first line of the book is, there were once 5 Chinese brothers, and they all looked exactly alike. And I was like, oh boy. Okay, yeah. And the plot is one of the 5 Chinese brothers goes fishing and drowns a child. This is the inciting event of the book. Drowns a child, and then
not one of his brothers.
Not one of it. Just like the
innocent white child.
Yeah. I think also a person from China. Yeah, but so the 5 Chinese brothers they're adult men. Okay.
Oh, okay.
And so one of them goes fishing and drowns a child, and then the townspeople are very mad that this person has drowned a child. That's a reasonable response.
Wait, does it take place in China?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and then so then the townspeople they are trying to kill the brother who killed the child.
Oh, but they all look alike. Oh no.
Yes. And they all somehow,
the best laid plans.
Yes. And they all the brothers have a different, almost like a superpower, that lets them survive, the method of killing that the townspeople are trying to kill them with. So like they're put in an oven. They are trying to drown. They're like, it's like horrifically dark and racist and all these like horrible things. And my daughter would be like, want to read it like 10 times a day.
I wonder what she loved about it.
I think like, I don't know. Maybe she's racist. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, but we,
all kids kind of are.
Yeah. But so then I put it in the purgatory cabinet. And she never asked about it again. And then I didn't even want to donate it because it feels bad to throw a book away, right? You should be like, you should give it to the library. You should put it in one of those like free little libraries, whatever. But I go, I don't. I might get charged with a hate crime if I put this in a library donation bin. So it's the only time I've ever thrown a book away.
Why is it so well loved? Yeah. So in New York, you can just put stuff on the street and people will just pick it up.
Yeah.
So I've seen people have I seen people put stuff on the street here? Yeah, I have. Like, you'll see a chair and it'll say free.
Yeah.
So I had books that I was trying to downsize and they were pregnancy books. It was like, you can imagine all the pregnancy books. So I put them on the curb. No one. And then I go to the car one day and they're all in the passenger seat. And I say, Daniel, I'm trying to get rid of these books. And he's like, it just looked like there was garbage by our house. I'm like, okay, fair. No one wanted them.
The city here gets upset if you leave stuff out. You're supposed to call ahead and schedule a pickup. So yeah, the city will be mad at you. But I will say almost every time I schedule a pickup and leave it out, someone does grab it before the city gets it. Yeah.
Okay.
If you're getting rid of like an old disgusting like sofa, like someone will just drive around with a truck and snag it. But yeah. I think it's tough giving away the old stuff because you it's gross after you've used it, right? And so even like
Daniel gave away a bed on Buy Nothing.
No.
And someone
like
wanted
the mattress?
it. Yes. And he like went out and bought some kind of like special plastic thing to put it in and I was just like, you're spending money.
Yeah.
Because he's a good person.
Yeah. My sister-in-law lives in Manhattan, and they apparently like the Buy Nothing group or those types of groups are very, very active in Manhattan. And she once saw, and this was during the first 2 years of COVID, saw someone who was giving away a half-eaten cake.
Oh my God.
And tons of people wanted it. Like this person's
gross.
like, I can't finish this myself. And so I think there is there's like a subgenre of person who loves a deal, I guess.
Yes. So we're having an estate sale and the woman who's running the sale was like, don't throw out anything. There's a market for everything, like used cosmetics.
Oh,
like
really?
we already got rid of, there's so much stuff, but we already tossed a bunch of stuff. And I was like, I guess I should have hung on to this.
Yeah.
But so there's a big screen TV, a plasma TV. And I asked her, what would you price it at? And she said probably $200 to $400. And a new one is like $500.
Not even. I just bought one because we had a really tiny one in our bedroom and it was so far away I couldn't read like the Netflix menu. I was like, I need to get a bigger TV. And you go, for some reason, TVs are essentially free.
Disposable.
Now. I mean
know.
they're so big. And if you don't care about like, 8K, whatever, you can just get a large TV. And I think I bought one for $200.
Right. Okay. So my sister was saying, my sister who wants the TV, she was like, what? Or she wants it anyway. She was like, but why would someone pay that much when a new one is the same price? And I'm like, I think there are people who it's like a game.
Yes.
What can I, getting something, and maybe it's that sort of trend of underconsumption, or you can feel better about not contributing to consumer. I don't know.
Totally.
But there are people who will pay good money for things they could get new for the same price, pretty much.
I think it's like the thrill of the hunt.
Yes.
I feel like. Now, for the estate sale, you're not there for that, right? Someone's handling it?
I'm not even allowed to be there. Like, as part of I imagine some estate sales are run by the family, but for the most part, you bring in someone who has a company, a service, and they do it. And as part of the contract, the family members or our representatives, which is what, like a friend I send in, cannot be on the premises.
Oh, I wonder, because the reason I ask is because my wife just did one for her mother-in-law. She just moved and just needed to downsize, get rid of a bunch of stuff. So a company came in and did that. But it occurred to me that, like, especially if you had just lost like a parent and then someone is there trying to like haggle with you over your.
That's why you can't be there.
Yeah, I was wondering if that was why. Yeah,
and it's interesting. I am less emotional about all of it than my sister is. She's younger than I am. We're 3 years, 9 months, kind of like your kids.
Yeah.
So she is very much like, Mom and Dad wouldn't want this. I'm like, well, they also wouldn't have wanted to be cremated. There's a lot of things that happen after you die. Actually, well, I see it differently though, because I actually think I think they would be like, yeah, like do what you need to do for the estate. Like they would be more pragmatic, but she is feeling like people are just going to come in and buy up their life and we're erasing them. And I'm like, no, we are trying to list the house by this date. We have a house full of shit. This is a great solution to getting rid of stuff that we're going to pay someone to take off our hands anyway.
Yep. I'm a purger, as I mentioned, and I am very much of the mindset like I think like everything I own at some point will be garbage. Even if my kids hold on to it, I go, their kids aren't going to care about grandpa's, whatever, and then their kids, and in the grand scheme of the universe, that's not that much time,
Right,
and so
right.
and I think like if you get really caught up in like, oh, my kids might want this. It's a form of like narcissism, maybe, where you're like, of course they're going to want this old T-shirt I used to wear, and it's like, I have like some stuff from I have a few of my dad's T-shirts, which I like, and that kind of stuff. I had this thing with my dad recently where he was cleaning out some stuff in their house, and he had old, from his Boy Scout days, these old, awesome hiking backpacks. And he held on to them. He had 5 of them, and they were like, you'd hike into the mountains and like camp with them, right? It was like those types of things. And he sent me a picture of these 5 lined up, and he goes, hey, do you want these for your kids? And I was like, I would love if my kids wanted to backpack with me. I go, they're not, and they'll just sit in my garage, and then I will like maybe throw them away one day. I go, they'll never be used.
Right.
And he was like, oh, are you sure? Because he had clearly held on to them going like, someday my grandkids will want, and it was like, but I know my mindset. I was like, they'll never get used, and then I will throw them away. I was like, you should just donate them now or whatever. So my goal is to have almost nothing, but eventually when I'm dying, I just have everything. I'll have one box of stuff that maybe you guys want, and if you want to throw it away, fine.
That's that. Do you know Swedish death cleaning?
I heard you guys talking about it.
Yeah, because my parents were fucking hoard. I mean, not truly hoarders, although on that spectrum. So there's so much. The things that I get excited when I find are photos and written things.
Yeah.
I do appreciate that my mom kept, like, I have a folder of my report cards from elementary school. So I like that my mom kept that, and those were organized. Letters or cards, things like that. And those are things that I will sometimes toss, but those are things that are fun to come across.
Yeah.
But the things that I don't care about are like my mom had her insane reasons for keeping every single piece of paper that it's just the tedium of life.
Yep.
So many clothes, which I think can sell at the estate sale, but it's like, if it's not special or cool, I don't need a turtleneck from 1970.
Right.
I don't need a ski
if you're
boot.
not going to wear it. Like maybe you hold on to one item that you look at, but even like boxes of keepsakes, I'm like, your kids will want like maximum one box of that stuff, right? You know? So I have like, I don't know, like I was talking about like the no doubt sticker on my water bottle. I'm like, my mom kept a box of my stuff from high school, and that's fun to look through. I go, oh yeah, this stuff.
Like, but if it's edited then,
is the important part.
Yeah, if it's edited, that's cool. Like old like scrapbooks and things. If it's in, which now everything is digital, so I don't do anything like that. But that's fun to find.
I'm trying to be better about, because everything is digital, creating a couple items for the kids. Like, I when our first kid was born, I had this idea where I was like, every year on their birthday, I'm going to write them a note in a book.
Oh, that's great.
So it's of course I'm like, I'm always like, I forget to do it until a week after or whatever. But I've done it every year for both the kids, where it's like a picture of the two of us and a note, and I write it on their birthday, and I go, hey, and it's like kind of what you're like right now and fun stuff we do, whatever. But I have to go out of my way to create like an artifact, because I'm like, they won't have shoe boxes full of old pictures and stuff. And like, and I go, I guess like I'll make sure they have access to like my Google Photos when I die or whatever, because I'm like, I don't even have all those like downloaded someplace.
Right.
There was a while where every year I was making a photo book at the end of the year, but it was so much work because you take so many photos now.
Like would you print it out like Snapfish or something?
Yeah, exactly. And so those were cool to have, but it's like at the end of the year, I'd be like, we took 1,000 photos this year. It's so much work to curate them. And so I fell off on doing it, but trying to have like a few physical things that they will then be able to keep. But you do have to try to do it now.
Yeah. What's interesting is Elliot will take a bunch of photos and then he'll go in and delete all the ones he doesn't like. Instantly he does it.
Oh,
it's so smart.
I like that. That's
I never
very
do
efficient.
that.
I like that. Yeah.
I take 30 identical photos and then I have 30 identical photos in my phone. I never delete photos.
Between you and Daniel, is there someone who is the primary picture taker in your family?
He is.
Mm-hmm. Does he feel like he's not in a lot of the photos? Because I feel that way in my family.
That happens. No, well, you'd have to ask him. I haven't heard him complain of that.
I always feel so narcissistic because I'll hand my phone to my wife and go, take my picture right now. But it's because I'm like, oh, like the kids are with me.
Right.
And she's like, oh yeah, sure. But like I did an improv show a couple weeks ago. My daughter came to watch it. It's the first time she'd ever seen me do that. She got up on stage or whatever. And I was like, oh, like how amazing is it? Like whatever. And then afterwards, I asked my wife, I go, oh, did you get a good picture of me and her on stage? She goes, oh, I didn't even think to do that. I was like, oh my God. She's like, I was enjoying the show. I was like, I appreciate that. But I go, because I'm the designated photographer, everything, I'm just like, boom. But if the kids are like sleeping in a cute position in the morning, I'm the one who does that, So, so I feel like, and then having that responsibility, I want to make sure they're organized.
Yeah.
They're easy to find. And that, but I don't know if you use like I use Google Photos, but now you can, I hate AI stuff, but this is one useful AI thing where the search is now so good where you can be like, picture of me, dressed as Spider-Man on Halloween and whatever. And it can understand what you're asking for. And it finds the photos with shocking accuracy.
Wow.
And any text that's in even if you took a picture of a sign, you're like, find me pictures of, this or whatever. And it's really good.
Maybe I used to use Google Photos. I don't anymore.
Sure,
I just have Apple Photos.
Thing. Yeah.
And then do you have a Podcast Pal product pick recommendation?
I have two actually. One is, I forget the name of this thing. I think I'll send you the link for it. You can put it in the show notes. But this actually segues perfectly to what we're just talking about, because as the designated photographer in the family, I take a lot of like, we're like, hey, it's Thanksgiving and whatever. And I have a nice camera, I bought years ago. And I try to take that with me. I sometimes I don't always bring it on a trip. But the iPhone is so good now. That will get you there. But if you're trying to take like a group photo, you have to lean your phone up against whatever. And so this last Thanksgiving, we had a huge group, and I was like, okay, before we eat, let's get a picture. And I had to stack up books, and the picture was mostly table, and it was like, and I was like, what a bummer. And so, but traveling with a tripod is like a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And so I found there's a tripod, a magnetic tripod, so the magnet in your phone sticks to it and it folds flat.
Oh, amazing.
And so you can put it in, I have like a case, I take like charging cables when I travel. It slides really easily in that. You could put it in like a coat pocket, you put it in a clutch purse really easily, and then it folds out and your phone sticks to it. And then if you're traveling too, you can use it as like kind of a nightstand, like to charge your phone at night, or if you're FaceTiming.
This sounds amazing.
It's so perfect.
Because my issue with tripods, I've had to take my phone case off, and like I can't get the little clickety thing in there.
Sticks through the case. And I searched it. This has ruined like kids, by the way, where I go, I wonder if there's a fold flat magnetic tripod. And I just search that, and of course there's 10 of them on Amazon. And the kids too will be like, can you get me like a green? They'll just explain to me. I go, that doesn't exist. And then you search and go, oh, that does exist or whatever.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I'll say is there's this company, I'm wearing one of these hats right now. It's a company called Bart Bridge. You would actually love this because they're based in California. they make these patches for pretty much every city in Southern California. So wherever you grew up, and they do some places for like out of California too, but they're local companies, local dudes. And the art on the patches is really specific to like if you live there, like so the one I'm wearing, it says Long Beach and has like a shipping container on it. You're like, oh yeah, there's like this big shipping container thing. So if you're from Long Beach or you've been there, you go, oh yeah, like it's a cool kind of insider joke.
What's it called? Bart
Bridge. Hold
Bart
on,
Bridge.
Let me make sure. Yeah, Bart Bridge.
I gotta look it up.
And you can just buy the patches if you want to put the patches on like a jacket or something like that. But the hats are great quality. And you can like rep your town or you know, any place like you lived or whatever. And and I think they're just like a good like small business.
Well, thank you very much. By the way, I remembered the name of that band, the Siren Six.
I know the Siren Six. Yes.
That's who. I don't know why. I was thinking it has nothing to do with Six Flags. Do they have a horn or just keyboards?
The keyboards, yeah.
So
I'm so happy you remember this. Yes, the Siren Six is great. Yeah.
Yeah. What happened to them? Because Nate Bott is now doing Abbey Road, I guess.
I swear they put out a song in the last the last 2 years or whatever, and I was really excited about it. I gotta look it up.
Yeah, that's a band that I just discovered because I was at Chain Reaction and they were playing, and I really liked them.
They're great.
I forgot their name.
They're really good.
Danny Ricker. I keep wanting to call you your son's name, by the way. I keep having to remind myself. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Needs
this was
to
awesome.
go get Wow, You Look Terrible, How to Parent Less and Live More. Anything else you'd like to plug?
Jimmy Kimmel Live, ABC 11:35 weeknights on Channel 7 if you're here in LA. Yeah.
And I'm on Patreon.com/Allison Rosen. I am on Substack, AllisonRosen.substack.com. On Patreon, there's a level where you can text me and I'll text you back. And I text a daily update with all sorts of stuff. I mean, these people who are at that level, the confidants, they find out the fish news, breaking fish news. There's been some stuff going on with the shrimp in my tank. They know about that. They know about all the estate conflict and drama. They know about who's going to be guesting on the show first, etc. And if you're going to do Patreon, which I hope you will, I would recommend signing up for an annual subscription and you get 2 months free. And, find all my other stuff and support that too. It's very, very specific. Thank you so much, Danny.
Thanks for
so much fun.
me.
Listeners, thank you for listening. I love you. You matter. Goodbye.
Hey, do you know about the Allison Rosen Show?